a typical job after completing CFA. You're a portfolio manager or investment specialist who manage client portfolios.
Could you talk to us a little bit about your career path? I know you worked
Mm.
for Asian private banker, a little bit of JP Morgan.
I spent over 10 years in the private banking industry, starting as a private banking journalist and then moving to asset management firm JP Morgan.
You took a huge leap of faith, a huge risk by leaving your corporate job. Can you talk about the financial planning behind the decision mentally? Like, what's your biggest struggle? Is it like lack of creativity? Is it spending 20 hours on a video, it gets 35 views? What's the biggest struggle in your entrepreneur journey right now? How much salary, if you can maybe say it in USD? Do you mind sharing that?
Over the past 10 years in corporate, the first year salary, it was about...
Hi, Charlene, how you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing great. Yeah.
Yeah,
How are you, David?
I'm good, thank you. Thank you for coming on the show today. The show that has no name, but we want to talk today about what's a CFA, what you do for a living, what's your challenges, and all that kind of stuff related to your career. So let's start with the first question. So you're a chartered financial analyst or accountant. Can you tell us more what a CFA is? Even myself as a CPA, I don't really know what it is. So what do you do on a daily basis?
Really?
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Okay. I'm actually, it came as a surprise because when I graduated, like people in my, in finance or in banking overall, people, oh, should I do CFA or CPA or CAIA, or, there are a lot of
Yeah,
different A's. So CFA is actually a short form of Chartered Financial Analyst. So A is not
analyst. Okay.
for accountant, instead is
Hmm.
analyst. So actually it's not a job title. So we're usually we don't say we are a CFA. Just it's like more like a certification. It's like
Okay.
CPA as well.
Yeah.
So I would say most people, when or after they have chartered financial analyst certificate, most people, they I would say they work in banking or the overall wealth and asset management industries. So a typical job, after completing CFA, I would say you're a portfolio manager or investment specialist who
Hmm.
who manage client portfolios. So that is quite a typical job that you can do after completing it.
Okay.
Mm.
Interesting. And could you share with us like the journey of becoming a CFA and what like inspired you? I always get this question asked like, why are you an accountant? I'm like, I
Yeah.
legit rolled the dice,
Mm.
or my dad was an
Okay.
accountant. And how about you? Like, how do you become a CFA
Okay.
and
You said your dad is accountant.
no, he's not. But, some people,
Okay.
I want to be
See,
a
my
doctor because
dad
my
is accountant, and then he is
really.
a chartered public accountant. So my mom always make fun of me and my dad. He said, "Oh, your dad is CPA, you're a CFA," and then blah blah blah. So actually, my journey is actually is probably quite different from the norm because I didn't really study finance or banking
Mhm.
or economics or accounting in my during my school. So actually I have a bachelor degree in
Okay.
Chinese literature.
Oh wow.
Oh,
Okay.
and a master's degree in journalism. So finance actually was nowhere on my radar during my 4 years undergraduate and
Hmm.
1 year
Yeah.
master's. So basically, I just thought, oh, I want to work in finance. When
Yeah.
you started to look for jobs, and back then I was in Hong Kong. By the way, currently I'm based here in Zurich, Switzerland. So when
Okay.
I was in Hong Kong, I would say, the dominant industry in Hong Kong is finance. What else can you do? I don't know. I
Oh
don't know
really?
if
Okay.
you're familiar with Hong Kong. I think
Not really. I
it's
never
pretty
been.
much yeah, it's pretty much dominated by the finance industry or banking
Okay.
industry. Basically, everything you do, it has something to do with finance. So I really wanted to enter the finance industry back then, and then I thought, okay, CFA could be a really great, stepping stone for me.
Hmm.
So at that time, I self-study the CFA program. Is Back then it's a 3 years program.
Okay.
So level one, level two, level three, and after that, you need to have overall at least 4 years relevant work experience. So that's basically my
Okay.
journey,
Okay,
self-study
so it's
journey.
basically by default. Would you have done something else if you were like in another city or another country, you think? Like, do you have any other dream job or dream career path?
I had my bachelor degree in Beijing, actually, Beijing,
Hmm.
China, and then my master's in Hong Kong. So I would say I had some hobbies or interests or passions. Like for example, I'm a fan of fitness. I'm a fan of
Okay,
boxing, but I would never see it. Okay, I would never see it as a full time,
as a job.
job or career. So it's maybe so yeah. So that's why I'm
Well,
here.
maybe you're going to pivot your YouTube channel into a boxing channel one day. Who
Oh,
knows? Who knows?
I mean, if
Uh,
the target audience audiences are the same, then why not? I'm practicing
we
now.
good. We talked a little bit about your journey, so how you ended up being a CFA, but you could you talk to us a little bit about your career path? I know you worked
Mm,
for Asian private banker, a little bit of JP Morgan. If you could tell us a little bit more about your CFA background.
So after school, I mean, after master degree in journalism, my first job, I really wanted to enter the finance industry or banking industry, but it wasn't very easy at that point. So, but like when you have a journalism background, I think the direct career path is to be a journalist, right? So I
Yeah.
I chose a banking journalist or finance journalist because there is kind of the overlap in the finance industry. So I thought that could be, again, like a stepping stone into the finance world, right?
Yeah.
And after school, like I mentioned, I self-study CFA, the CFA program, and after I would say I spent more than half of my career as a journalist, as a banking
Okay.
journalist. So Asian Private Banker actually is a publication covering the private banking or the overall wealth management industry in Asia, in APAC back
Okay.
then. And then during COVID, I moved to JP Morgan. I got a chance to get interviewed there. So, and then I got the job in a sales and marketing team at JP
Okay.
Morgan. Yeah, and then after less than 2 years, that was because I wanted to move to Switzerland, like due to
Yeah.
some personal reasons, and so I started to look for jobs in Zurich, Switzerland, and that's where I landed my previous job as a head of marketing at a wealth tech firm. So it's called
Okay.
Avalok. So, but now I'm free. I just quit my full time job last December, so I'm now fully on my own since December. It's like 4 months, right? Four or
That's
five
cool.
months.
Congrats. And before we just dive into this a little bit,
Mm,
I just wanted to you said something, you moved to Switzerland, and I know you bought a house in Switzerland, and a lot of your content on your YouTube channel, we're gonna get back
mm,
to your full-time YouTuber career in a few seconds here.
okay.
But I think a lot of your videos are like, I bought a house in Switzerland, and I know for a fact that Switzerland is
Mm,
kind of expensive, if I'm not mistaken, like the most expensive country in the world. But could you share some insights on your investment strategy and how you manage to like pile up some money, like enough to buy a house in Switzerland?
Mm, First of all, I don't think the Swiss property market is as expensive as in Hong Kong, for example.
Oh, really? Okay,
At
okay.
per square meter wise. Yeah, it is. I think not cheap, I would say, but yeah, there are some places like, for example, Hong Kong, Singapore, or New York. I think there are some places that where property prices that definitely I think are even higher. So
Hmm.
talking about investment strategy, that's the question, right? I
Yeah,
think a few things that I learned over the past years, including, like basically in the private banking industry, that where I had the privilege to work for over the 10 years, is I would say concluded into maybe three major points. I think the first one is really about diversification. I
yeah,
think a lot of people they tend to chase after, okay, what is the next big idea in the stock market, which
Mhm.
stock is going to perform well, over the next two months or 3 months. So I think, if you're really serious investor, diversification is definitely the key element of your investment strategy. So for
Yeah.
example, I keep joking with some of my friends. I spent over 10 years in the private banking industry, starting as a private banking journalist and then moving to asset management firm JP Morgan, covering private banking clients. And then I moved to a private banking technology firm, in Switzerland. So everything was about, private banking is like
Mhm.
serving the high net worth individual or the rich people. So
Yeah.
I think, by observing how the rich invest, compared with,
Yeah.
for example, normal people like retail investors, diversification, the one strategy that I just mentioned, or the principle that I just mentioned, is definitely a
Yeah.
thing that differentiate the rich from the normal people, like for example, like us. It's not just about diversifying, over, across different stocks. It's more like diversification on a different level, like across different asset classes, across different geographies, across
Yeah.
different currencies, right? Not only USD or Canadian dollar or francs or yen, this kind of thing. And the
Mhm.
second thing, just very briefly, is
Yeah.
about long-term thinking. Like I
Mhm.
mentioned, it's not you're not chasing after something hot just over the next 2 months, 3 months.
Yeah.
It's really thinking long-term. I think using the unit, I would say, use years instead of weeks or months.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And then some other, I would say, rules or principles that I really follow. Like for example, now I really one of the focuses is passive, generating passive income. As you
Yeah.
mentioned, as a YouTuber. I mean, I don't see myself as a full-time YouTuber because I also have some other stuff to do.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
YouTube is really my passion project because I really
Mhm.
wanted to, use my previous experiences and expertise to empower everyday people, not only the rich, to be more financially
Mhm.
literate and free.
Yeah. And if we could talk a little bit about that YouTube move that you made, like if I'm not mistaken, and
Mm,
you correct me if I'm not mistaken, we don't know each other that much, a little bit now, but like I see that you made a significant career shift. Like you're still a CFA, of course, but you left
mm,
the banking industry, the journalism industry, if I'm not mistaken, to put more time or more efforts into your personal brand. Let's call it like that, which
mm,
YouTube
mm,
is part of it.
mm,
What's this like? What motivated your decision, being someone that's kind of wealthy or more wealthy than the average, to leave
mm.
that six figures job, living in
Yeah.
Switzerland that is expensive? Like, what's your thought process behind that?
Mm, mm. I think I do also receive a lot of questions from my friends right now,
Yeah.
like families, even, why
Mm.
you make this choice. It's a big choice after 10 years. And like you mentioned, David, you also make the similar move. I mean, pretty much, I think, whenever we do any decision in our career or in life, I will always say there's a push and a pull.
Yeah.
And I think the pull part is like I really since even younger, I always wanted to have my own thing, my own business. I tried a few things already. For example, a Shopify shop online.
Okay.
I could barely sell things, and I was a piano teacher. This kind of thing in school or after graduate, the first few years after graduation. But I never really take them really seriously. So what I wanted to say is like being more like really independent from a corporate job is something that I've been thinking about for me for years. It's not something like, oh, suddenly I don't enjoy it and then let me quit. So
Hmm.
that's the pull, and really about an impact as well. I know it sounds really a little bit hypocritical if you
No, no, it's
mention
fine.
impact, right?
Yeah.
So, like for example, I mentioned over the past 10 years, I feel like my job is really, keep making the rich richer every single
Yeah.
day, in the private banking wealth management industry. Like I said, if I can really, take, utilize, leverage the expertise, the experiences, the knowledge that I gained over the past 10 years to impact, to influence, to impact everyday people,
Hmm.
to empower them to be more financially free. That gives me like a bigger purpose, I would say. So that's the pull part. And the
Hmm.
push part, I think everyone can imagine. Do you really enjoy your corporate job? How
Yeah.
much do you enjoy? I mean, it's good. I do know some people, they really enjoy it, right?
Yeah.
Or, yeah, there are some people, people keep talking about quit your 9 to 5 or this kind of thing. But there are some
Hmm.
people who enjoy it. But I think
Yeah.
for me personally, I
Hmm.
think especially, when you are, I've been with corporate for 10 years, and I think it's long enough to make a move. And also, um really, being really honest, I didn't really enjoy it that
Yeah.
much, especially at the later part of my 10 years corporate
Hmm.
life.
Yeah, when you don't want to wake up in the morning, or like I don't know if you're like me, but like on Sundays, even to this day, and that's why
Oh,
I booked Ultimate Frisbee on Sunday nights because I could not spend my night at home like
I
thinking I
want
was
to tell
working
you
tomorrow.
something really.
And like 9 to 5 is fine for a lot of people. If I had kids, I had a house to pay, I
Mm,
will probably not have made this decision. But I'm a part, and maybe I will go to corporate one day. Maybe I'll go
yeah,
back. Maybe
same, same.
my
Yeah,
situation will change. But right now,
exactly.
I wanted to try it.
Mm,
Um, but it's a lot of, if we go into the financial part of thing, did you feel that financial stress, and especially, and if we go first of all, sorry, I wanted to know like so your mission, like what's your mission, like do you have a statement like make poor people rich, like not that, but what's your mission with your
Something
project?
similar, actually. So we really empower every day. My mission is really to democratize financial literacy, financial education to everyday
Mm-hmm.
people. And my mission is really
Gotcha.
to empower everyday people to be more financially literate and free. So that is my mission. And back to, I wanted to add something that I think is
Yeah, go ahead.
really, really funny. You mentioned, on Sunday nights, you used to feel really, really tough, right? That's
Yeah.
exactly the feelings that I have.
Uh-huh.
I feel 4 p.m. Friday, that's the
Yeah.
most exciting moment when
Oh
you are
yeah.
working in the corporate. And the 4 p.m. Sunday is the
The
toughest
worst.
moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, the worst. Oh gosh. When you
That's
mention,
cool that
oh,
we can
I go
relate on that. Like we didn't
exactly.
stage that before, guys. We just came with that, and that's true. That's
Yeah,
how I felt. That's how I
yeah.
felt for years. And when I
Mm,
switched jobs, I felt that this Sunday night was better because I was like, okay, I don't care of working tomorrow because I actually love my
mm.
job. But then
Yeah,
two
exactly.
years and a half in the job, it comes back and you're like, oh, maybe it's time to switch, or maybe let's
Mhm,
get busy,
mhm,
because you should not be afraid of working tomorrow morning. Like I don't think it's a way that you can live your life for 40 years. Justin
mm.
Welsh, that we followed the course, he did a post. It's like you should not be working 50 hours a week to enjoy your 65 plus. And that's so true. Like I feel
Yeah,
like
that's
it's so
very true.
true.
Yeah, yeah. Who knows? Maybe you come back to corporate,
Yeah, I
after
hope
2 years
not,
or
but
6 years. I hope not to, but I mean, it's always an option. Yeah.
uh, I was wondering, you took a huge leap of faith, a huge risk by leaving your corporate job. Can you talk about the financial planning behind the decision? How long did it take you? Did you plan for this for 1 year, saving up money? Could you give us a little bit about that?
I've been planning it for, like, I would say not a year, for 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
So I think a lot of people, again, including my family, friends, and they were asking me, like, what's the genuine advice for people. So I would say, I think the top advice, the top piece of advice that I want to give my friends, or everyone who's interested in kind of, quitting your corporate job is like really prepare early
Mm-hmm.
financially. Like by saying that, basically, I mean, save early and invest early.
Yeah.
So I would say I wouldn't mind, talk, disclosing a little bit more about, how much I earn over the past 10 years. But the key principle that I follow is that every month after I, got my salary over the past 10 years, the first thing that I did is to, put a certain amount of money into the savings account and then investments account. So, like I see some people, for example, even 10 years ago when we just started our career, some of my friends, after they got their salary, first thing, I want to have a LV bag or, Gucci bag. But,
Yeah.
I barely, bought this kind of thing. I have, I mean, a few, two or three. I mean, I don't have, I'm not a big fan of, purchasing, this kind of luxury
Yeah.
things, and I would say saving early, investing early. That's really the
Mm-hmm.
core message that I wanted to
And
say.
And do you have like advice for people, like in French we call it matérialiste, so materialist, like people that
Mm,
really
okay.
love like like the latest iPhone and stuff like that.
Mm,
Would you
mm,
have an advice for someone that really like the Gucci bags, for example? Like, is it like take a few of your money, put it aside, and when you amass a certain amount, then you can buy one bag
mm,
instead of like six? Like, do you have any
mm.
advice? Like, buy
Yeah,
pre-used stuff? Like, any advice for these kind of people that it's not an
yeah. That's
addiction, but they don't really realize that they're spending that much on things that maybe matter to them, but they could have less. Any
that's a
advice?
very good question. Actually, I I had a video specifically on that, how to
Okay.
be a minimalist. And
Mm-hmm.
back to your question, is I think for those people who really like the trendy things in life or these kind of things. So what I would suggest is like maybe every month you can save what I call this fun money, like fun pocket, or
Mm-hmm.
like probably 10% of your income you can save into it's like a mental account, 10% of what you earn into that fun account, fun money
Gotcha.
account.
Yeah.
And then through month, and then okay, now that account I have maybe 5,000 francs or
Mm-hmm.
USD, and then you can use that. But never, like, just don't don't binge buying
Yeah.
things.
Okay. That's a great advice, actually. And could you tell us more? And it's fine if you don't want to get into the details. It's fine, but like your salary, like how it evolved, and it's always hard to compare. Like if you're in the U.S., it's different than Canada, and even in Canada and
Mm.
Vancouver, it's really expensive. In Quebec City, it's less expensive. But like where you were living, and like by age 20, you were roughly how much salary, if you can maybe say it in USD. Do you mind sharing that?
Yeah, actually, I'm really pro, transparency in
Yeah, sure.
salary. I think that's really kind of like a lot of people are for this kind of idea because by being transparent, you can, you're if you are underpaid or fairly paid.
Mhm.
So back to your question, over the past 10 years in corporate, the first year salary, it was about, I think I was earning Hong Kong dollars. The first year salary was around 30K USD in
Okay.
USD terms. So it's
And
like
you were like 23?
2021. Yeah, 21 or 21 and a half.
Okay. Okay.
Uh,
Yeah.
Now it seems like we're disclosing my age.
Oh, oops. We can
It's
we're
okay.
about the same age, I
So,
think. Yeah.
so so it was like 30K. I know in some countries 30K USD per year, it may be a lot in some
Yeah.
countries, but in Hong Kong I would say is really the almost one of the lowest salary that you
The
can
lowest. Okay.
get, because like I mentioned, the rent that you pay every month
Yeah.
is extremely expensive. Back then, I was living in a 2 by 2, 2 meter by 2 meters,
Wow.
room. It's seriously, my bed. I touched the walls, that it's like, can you imagine? It's like
Yeah.
a square, and then you have a 1 by 2 bed, and
Wow.
that's pretty much that was my room. But through time, I think I don't know if you can tell a little bit about my personality. I keep negotiating my salary with my employer, and I keep improving. Like I mentioned, I self-study CFA, for example, like this kind of effort that I put. So it it keeps growing. Salary,
Mhm.
I would say 30K to 50 to 60, 80. And I think when I left Hong Kong, it was about 150
Wow.
USD.
And
Yeah,
what time
and
was that
then
in the like?
it's
Because we were in
about
2021 when you were 30K USD, and then when you left Hong Kong was
it was 20 early
okay.
2022.
Sorry, yeah, we were not in 2021. It was 10 years ago at 30K. Sorry.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah, yeah.
2020.
And
Okay,
then in Zurich, Switzerland, my last salary was around in USD terms, including bonus, about 180K.
okay. And what you feel like what moved the needle? Why you is it because you were working hard? Is it because you were working smart? Is it like if you had one advice, like how to get a better salary, what did you develop new skills and you could bring it to
Mm.
the table? Like why?
I think it maybe not just one thing. I think
Yeah, of
maybe a
course.
few, right? And then if I can really summarize, I also made a video about that in details. You can, everyone is interested in that. You can check out later. But the first thing is about, I think location, it really matters. So to be really, honest with you, I think with the same skill set, same years of experience, same role, you may get paid, for example, 10 in Hong Kong, maybe
Mhm.
8 in Singapore, maybe
Yeah.
5 in Canada, maybe like 15 in Zurich. So what I want you to say is that it's not like equal work, equal pay,
Yeah.
across the globe, but I mean, living expense is different across different areas as well, but it's another thing, it's another topic. So that's the first thing. And second thing is really about, I think, negotiation plays a significant role in my story. I think I have the story like within one company. I've been like, for example, in one company that I used to work for. I stayed there for 5 years, but my salary got almost tripled, or
Yeah.
more than tripled. So that is really that's really through negotiation. I would say it was a smaller company.
Mhm.
And another thing, the third thing, I think that's keep I think is, for example, like in terms of self-development,
Yeah.
you need to keep learning.
Yeah,
Yeah, a lot of people,
100%.
I think, in terms of in corporate world, people just feel lazy, I think, feel comfy, and then people stop learning new things. I think keep learning, keep negotiating.
Yeah, that's 100%
That
like
would be
in
my advice.
when you can show that these skills improve XYZ part of your job and you're like, "Hey, I was doing this in 10 hours, now I'm doing this in 2 hours because I learned this new
Mm,
skill." I think it's good leverage for your salary increase. Let's talk a little bit about your YouTube channel and like where you see this evolving. I was wondering your background as a CFA, like how does it impact your content strategy? Because if I'm not mistaken, you're not targeting CFA as a target audience, you're targeting people that wants to have financial literacy, if I say this correctly. Like
exactly. Yeah. Mhm.
why don't you talk about like Pokemon cards or like anything on your channel, or piano that we can see behind you? Like
Oh.
how is your CFA career influencing your content strategy basically?
I think I don't know too much about Pokemon cards first. I think when it comes to channel, to be real honest, I'm still very junior in this journey. I just started the
Mhm.
channel later last year. It's really at the early stage, but I'm happy that every day I receive a lot of messages, comments about asking me about certain topics regarding investments. So back to your question, I think I don't know if you heard of a term called ikigai. Is a Japanese term. Basically, it is a combination of a few things when you decide on your, career or business or anything. Huh,
Hmm.
yeah, that's
Yeah, I brought it up.
enjoyable.
Why not? Keep going. I'll scroll while you talk.
Yeah. So I would see three elements that really, this kind of thing are influenced by ikigai, the Japanese culture. One is what you really good at, right? So
Hmm.
I would say finance or finance content or investment content, this kind of thing that I've been doing it for over the past 10 years, right? As a journalist, I cover investments as sales and marketing person at JP Morgan. It's something I would say overall is something I'm better at than better
Yeah,
at in
most
finance
people.
than Pokemon cards.
Yeah, yeah, 100%.
And then secondly, it's like what you really enjoy. The first thing is
Hmm.
what you're good at, right? The second thing is what you really enjoy. I mean, I really like creating content. I will also start to create content on LinkedIn, blogs, this kind of thing. So
Yeah.
it's really something that I enjoy personally. It gives me joy.
Hmm.
And when I realized, like when I, for example, receive some messages from some just like your strangers who contact me say, oh, I saw your video, it really helped me, can I ask you some follow-up question? It gives me purpose. I really enjoy that. And then the third thing, from the ikigai is, something that there is a market. I believe, there's a demand for responsible finance content
Yeah.
online. If you see the data, like for example, um 80% of millennials or Gen Z, they look for financial advice online
Wow.
on social
Really?
medias instead of,
Cool.
asking their bankers or financial advisors.
Hmm.
And if you see across the board, I would say a lot of content online are about get rich quick, like
Yeah.
cryptocurrency, day trading. So
You
basically,
don't you don't go into this, just to be clear.
when
Like you're
I
not.
no, I actually,
Okay.
when I see this kind of content, it makes me sad. I feel like,
Hmm.
it's just that's why I mentioned I also love fitness. I think there are a lot of common principles between
Yep.
finance and fitness. Like you really need to think long term. You cannot
Hmm.
have six packs. There are a lot of content like that online as well.
Oh
Get
yeah.
six packs in 2 weeks. Can you, if you really don't know about the nutrition, cardio, weightlifting, you can do the combination. You don't know the principles. It's really dangerous for
Yep.
finance as well if you only chase after the short term gains. You are very, very, very easily to fall into a scam.
Hmm. Yeah, and
So,
we see those videos like make 30K a day with AI,
uh,
and you're like,
oh
oh my
gosh,
god,
I
like
think we
this is.
really need to kind of ban this kind of video
And
because they're,
people believe in this. That's what's crazy. But
yeah,
anyways, yeah,
that's really sad actually.
yeah. And I was wondering, you talked about the fund money, so setting aside a budget. You
Mhm,
talked about diversifying
mhm,
your income sources or your placements. I don't know, your investments.
mhm.
Sorry. Will you have a third advice for like professionals, like what steps they can take to improve their financial literacy, other than following you on YouTube and LinkedIn? By the way, very important. Links in the comment
Very
below. Follow
important.
Charlene. So yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I would say, for some people, like you're really serious about finance or want to learn really like in depth, I would say you can even, like, sign up for a course. Like you don't have to do, for example, CPA, CFA, but
Mhm.
something like a foundation of finance. For example, some institutions, some university, they offer this kind of course. And also, if I mean, I know you can do it, but I know some people may find it a little bit, how to say it, like a bit boring because it's a
Yeah.
school setup. So
Yeah.
actually, I know there are some. By the way, I'm also going to create a digital course soon. That's
Yeah, that
on
was my
my
question.
agenda.
Mhm. Mhm.
That's on my agenda. So my goal is really to use everyday term to really demystify the financial jargons and to
Yeah.
bring the really complex ideas into easy to understand.
Hmm.
language. So that's something I'm currently working on. And then on top of that, some other advice that I could give is like be selective. I know a lot of people you enjoy YouTube video, Reddit, this kind of social media.
Hmm.
Be selective. And maybe one little tip that I could give is that when it comes to investments, if the top two keywords that comes to your mind is day trading or a cryptocurrency,
Oh
I
yeah.
think that's a really clear sign that we need to educate ourselves. If
Oh
a
yeah.
YouTuber only talking about the short term trading, day trading, or cryptocurrency, I
NFTs.
think NFTs, I think you also need to be a little bit, a little bit careful. That's
Be careful
my
to who you
genuine
listen to.
advice.
Yeah, that's
Exactly.
great
Yeah.
advice. And could you share a little bit on your end, like, since when did you drop your job? It's been 6 months almost.
5, yeah, 5 months.
5.
Yeah.
And what I know you did a lot of planning. We talked about it earlier. You've been planning this for years now. And could you share a little bit of like the financial challenges that you're facing since then? As instance, for me, I really like restaurants. I was going once a week before when I had my
Mhm.
6-digit
Mhm.
salary. Now I can't really afford it. I
Mhm.
have to pick and choose, like I go
Mm,
once a month. I found like a walking tour job that we go into restaurants. So I get paid now to eat.
mm,
It's trading my time. But could you explain some of the challenges that you faced since then? I'm guessing your
mm.
your lifestyle changed a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, to be really frank with you, I do have challenges, but I would say it's less about the financial challenges and more
Okay.
about, I would say, maybe mental or emotional
Yeah,
challenges.
sure. Go
I
ahead. Yeah.
think why in terms of financial challenges, because I think prepare a lot. Yes, I think, and that's one thing, preparation, right? Like, for example, do you have apartment, do you have mortgage, do you have a life partner, how stable your relationship is, do you have a kid, right? Do you have mortgage
Hmm.
to pay, etc. So I did a really kind of risk assessment of my financial and my family's finances, together with my partner. I think, in terms of financial challenges, is something that um it is something that doesn't bother me that much.
Yeah.
And on
Okay.
top of that, I'm not the person who fancy, Michelin restaurants,
Yeah.
fine dining. I think overall, compare with my some of my peers, I live a overall modest
Hmm.
lifestyle.
Are
So
you
that's
saying I'm
why
fancy?
if you go to a fancy Michelin restaurant,
No, no, no,
Big
no.
E, Gordo, that's not
McDonald's,
something that
McDonald's at most. Love it.
McDonald's in Zurich is super expensive as well. It's like 20 something, 30 something per maybe per meal already. I mean Swiss
Okay.
francs.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So yeah, back to the question
Yeah.
on the challenges. I think it's more on the. Of course, I think I do have a few for sure. More on the emotional side of thing. I think at
Mhm.
the very beginning, you not only me, I chat about this with a lot of my other fellow entrepreneur friends
Yeah.
as well. I think you really need to shift your mind a bit. I think which I experienced is that at the very beginning of my little entrepreneur journey, I could
Mhm.
still, I still felt like, okay, how I see value, how I see the value that I generate, I produce based
Yeah.
on how much I earn.
Mhm.
Like previously in corporate job, you think, oh, if I earn 150, if I earn 120, I think I create more value. I think I'm a more valuable person, blah blah. But now I think, especially as a business owner or little entrepreneur, a common thing like it's about mindset shift. You
Yeah.
should really stop thinking how valuable you are just purely based on how much money you bring in
Oh, yeah.
to your
Mhm.
business. I think at the very
And
beginning I did struggle a bit, but now I think, just be patient, focus on the impact that you bring, focus on long term. The unit is
mhm.
is quad you can you 3 months or a quarter is the basic time unit instead of just 1 week, 1 day. I want to see some really
Yeah.
tangible impact
And
or
and you
financial
talk a
impact.
little bit about those well, financially, I think it's going fine, is what you said, but like mentally, like
Mm,
what's your biggest struggle? Is it like lack of creativity? Is it spending 20 hours on a video, it gets 35
mm.
views? What's the biggest struggle in your entrepreneur journey right now? If you're willing to
I
share.
think I mean, yes, always. I think for now is the challenge is more on the, for example, I think I definitely work a lot more hours than before. So
Hmm.
how if you define work as like, for example, you cannot shut down. Can you?
What?
Like, can you really kind of shut down?
Oh
For
yeah,
like
stop thinking about work. Yeah, no, no, no,
exactly. Can
it's
you really
impossible.
stop thinking about work?
Uh-huh.
Exactly. So I think previously you may work for like 7 8 hours per day in
Hmm.
in a corporate setup, and now I feel, yeah, every day it's definitely more than that, and you feel stressed. I don't know. I mean, I feel stressed. I don't know how
Hmm.
you
Yeah,
feel. So I would say
yeah.
overall, that's the challenge that I have. You wanted to be more really. I have a team actually. I have video editor. I have
Hmm.
some, also some freelancers who help me. But
Yeah,
especially at the very beginning, I'm really hands on, and
yeah. I
if you
think.
want to really ensure quality, quantity, this kind of thing is.
Mhm, and you
Uh,
have the right state of mind, I think. Like, I heard a lot of time from podcasts, like, do less of
mm,
what you like and more of what you love, and I think by hiring a video editor, maybe you will do it even
mm,
better a little bit, but sometimes it's okay, quantity, quality, like, okay, I
mm,
actually gonna
mm,
do something that I enjoy more, like do a post on LinkedIn, by instance. So, yeah, thank
mm.
you for
Yeah.
sharing. Thank you for sharing. Um I'm really like a Sean Kennel guy, like I listen to all their podcasts. I was about to say as we land the plane, but I have the repeat after me segment that I like from Think Media podcast, and I wanted to ask you this question. So you have to
Mm,
repeat the question and then answer it. So here we go. If I had to start my career all over again, I will make sure that
mm.
you need to repeat.
Okay. If I had to start my career all over again, I would make sure that I would even think about how other people think about me even less. I think I was
Hmm.
at the very beginning, I was still, especially at the beginning of my career, I thought, okay, I still care too much about how other people think about me. I think that's
Hmm.
really something we should care less and less, especially, at the end of the day, no one cares about you. Just focus on what you really, really want to do. Be, self-motivated, yourself, motivate yourself, and really believe in what you do, believe in the impact that you can bring.
Good. Very, very powerful, very interesting. Where can we follow you? What's your main platforms? YouTube, LinkedIn? Do you have a newsletter? Go ahead.
Yes, yes, I have a newsletter that I just sent my first newsletter last week. So I will also,
Cool.
let's put a link in the
Sure.
video description area. So
Uh-huh.
yeah,
All right. So LinkedIn,
great.
YouTube, newsletter. Charlene, thank you so much. Thank you for your time. It was really great talking to you.
Yeah, thank you so much, David. Thanks,
All right.
everyone.
Bye.